Welcome to this very special edition of The Author's Voice with KAJ, a show where we explore the stories behind the stories. Here we dive into the worlds created by authors, discover their inspirations, and ensure that you walk away enriched and inspired. And today we have with us Reino Gevers. He's an author, motivational speaker, and coach who focuses on topics related to personal development, leadership, and holistic well-being. He has written several books, and today we'll talk about his latest book, Sages, Saints, and Sinners. Let's dive into the story behind the story. Welcome to the show, Reino.
I'm great to be back with you, Ajay.
You are welcome. Welcome once again to the KAJ Masterclass. This time on the author's voice with KAJ theme. So we'll talk about your book, Sages, Saints, and Sinners. But before we come to the book itself, Reno, let's understand about your journey into being an author. You were into journalism. Did a lot of understanding of writing and all. But to also write a book is a lot of task also. How did that journey happen for you in terms of becoming an author?
Well, I was in the media industry working for a mainly news agency for more than 20 years. And I was always fascinated by the human story, the story behind the news. But as you know, journalism is all about the news today and the bad news. When I was a cub reporter working for a newspaper in South Africa, I was always on the beat. I visited accident sites. I went to police stations. I interviewed people. I spoke to people who were then affected by apartheid. Many local people who were forcibly removed under the apartheid rules at the time. Very interesting time, but then I left South Africa because of military conscription and lived in Germany for many years, now live in Spain. And the journey came round about the transition to consulting when the whole media industry changed with the digital revolution. And I was feeling very frustrated because I was basically regurgitating news that other people had written, sitting in an office all day and no longer talking to people, which is really all about what it should be in investigative journalism, being a watchdog on society. And I made the transition in 2010. I went into consultancy, and then I started. I always felt the urge to write since I was a schoolboy, and I loved writing essays. I always loved writing, so I went on a walk in Spain on the Camino de Santiago. That inspired the first novel I wrote, Walking on Edge, and I would say the last three books I wrote have all been inspired by long walks. That the creative mind was activated while walking.
Absolutely, absolutely. Walking is gold, and walking the Camino de Santiago, it's a big thing, and that is where a lot of learning can happen. Let's learn right now. Let's learn from your latest book, Sages, Saints, and Sinners. So here is the book for the audience. Also, Sages, Saints, and a nice cover. What does this title talk about? How should one understand from the title itself, and the cover picture here? Here's a nice name here, nice name of the book, and your name shining on the cover of the book.
The story is about a couple in love, but they get separated because of the social conventions at that time. The story plays out in the 14th century. During the Black Plague, the bubonic plague. And I was inspired to write this story during COVID because I was astounded and shocked by the way people react when external circumstances, events happen that are out of their control. And I did some research and found that there were many parallels to what we found during COVID in the 14th century during the Black Plague. When people are in panic, when they're in fear, they look for scapegoats. And during the bubonic plague, the Black Plague, of course, who were the scapegoats? Always the minorities, the religious minorities, the people who were different, who thought differently, who didn't conform to the belief at the time. They were then blamed for the pandemic. It was much the same during COVID, when people blamed the Chinese, they blamed everyone, but but didn't confront their own inner fears. How do I deal with external circumstances that are out of my control?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, is it about people? Is it about love story? Is it about history? What is it about?
There's a combination of everything. Of course, the big story is um, it's embedded in this love story, and because Isabel, one of the characters, is forced to marry a very much older person that she doesn't love. She actually falls in love with a young monk, Geronimo, and Geronimo is sent into slavery by her father. And out of frustration, she joins a convent and becomes a nun. And that's the background story. But of course, the title, Sages, Saints, and Sinners, it's about the major religions, Islam, uh, Judaism, Buddhism, Christianity. They all play a role. And the message I try to bring across is that a creative principle is diversity, and that we shouldn't persecute each other. We shouldn't condemn other people's religion. We should learn from each other's religions. There's a reason why we have different religions, so that we learn from each other and get inspired by each other. This is the saint aspect of the book, the sages and the saint aspect. But of course, the sinners are those people who condemn, who go into judgment, who persecute, and don't understand the real deeper meaning behind experiential spirituality, the divine
Absolutely,
behind fixed belief.
absolutely, absolutely. So, who is this book for?
Well, the book is basically for everyone who's interested in spirituality, but in spirituality that goes beyond fixed belief and beyond dogma and judgment. So I'd like to inspire the reader to think about the wonder, the miracle of life, that actually the crucial message that every major religion has is that we should be kind and tolerant and loving to each other. That is the key message. If we are kind and loving to each other, the world is a better place. And that we,
Absolutely,
sh- we should be tolerant of each other. We should accept each other in our differences.
absolutely, absolutely. So, would you like to read a short excerpt or describe any favorite scene of yours?
I'd like to go into one scene here where Isabel has just joined the convent as a nun, and she has great difficulty adapting to monastic life. And she is, of course, like everyone in the convent, responsible for cleaning, for doing all the chores. And then she's about to quit and leave the monastery. But then one of the other nuns has a good talk to her and tells her, look, the fruit of your labor is small due to self-preoccupation. True expression comes from an empty space where the divine finds manifestation in your work. Softly she added, the reward lies in freedom from self-preoccupation, beyond fear, pain, sadness, and anger. Free yourself, make room for the divine within and in your service.
Wonderful, wonderful. What should people understand from these lines?
that everything we do, every work we do, be it that much of a chore, uh, has a meaning. And if you approach that work with a different perspective, let's take dishwashing or cleaning the house. I hate cleaning windows. So, but if you take on a different mindset and you do it with a conscious presence, then that becomes spiritual. It's what all the Buddhists and the monks teach us, especially in Zen Buddhism. Be present. Everything in what you do is presence.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you've been from the media, journalist, and news agency background, writing always your heart, looking at the facts, being authentic. How do you balance this whole thing about authenticity and market expectations as an author, Reno? Is it easy? Is it very difficult for you?
Well, for me, there was a point where I no longer felt fulfilled. I felt that I was no longer filling my soul need in news agency journalism. And but still, my passion is to write, but not for the news media. The news media is preoccupied with bad news. But next to the bad news, there's always something good happening at the same time in the world. And the more we get preoccupied with all the bad news that is happening in the world, our mindset becomes negative. So every morning, for instance, learned to practice a gratitude ritual. What are you grateful for? Think of the 3 or 4 things that happened in the past 24 hours that you are truly grateful for. And one of the things is, I'm alive, I'm healthy, it's wonderful to be alive today, and I'm here in service.
Absolutely. And as an author, in terms of the publishing part, in terms of the branding part, how do you look at this whole branding part? A lot of people believe that personal branding is important for authors. What do you think of it? If yes, how do you approach this whole personal branding part, Renu?
Look, it's an ongoing process. Writing the book is just one part, and the real work is then uh, the marketing aspect, the branding, as you say. And my primary objective is to spread the message, not to spread myself, but I want to spread this message of experiential spirituality. I think there's a very big need globally for spiritual connection, for connection with the divine. And that connection has been lost because of our preoccupation with all sorts of distractions, especially now in our time from social media, because there's clickbait all the time. As soon as you open your iPhone, there's clickbait waiting for you, and you get caught up in this tidal wave of different things, and it's very easy to get lost in that world. So I'm trying to persuade people, please go back into reading, read books, cultivate your creative mind, go for walks. And when you go for a walk and when you read and your fantasy gets triggered, and that's when you find connection. So going back to
Absolutely.
branding, look, it's important. I use social media. I think it's important to use social media, but in good dosages. And I'm now going back to doing conventional readings in bookshops and where you connect with readers. It's a long process. And doing a podcast with you now, that's also one way of spreading the message.
Absolutely. What about, is it only about the spreading the message? What about readership also? People buy the books. That is also very important for an author. How do do that? Social media, podcasting, does that work for you?
Oh, I mean, it's crucial. I think without using the media today, I mean, I use all avenues. I do readings in bookshops, podcasting. I use Instagram and Facebook, LinkedIn. I use all the avenues available, and of course, the word of from one person to another. I think that is also not to be forgotten. The first person who reads the book and then recommends it, getting good reviews, I think is crucial. I've just started getting in the first reviews, and I think you need a certain threshold of at least 20, 30 and more good reviews for the book to be recognized by the algorithms, and to get over that threshold. And that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Absolutely. So this is your latest book out just in April. But anything else in the pipeline? Anything else you are working on that you want the world to know about?
Yes, of course. Writing doesn't stop with your last book. I'm now working on a book which is more on my childhood growing up in South Africa and my transition from fixed belief in the church environment, and then gradually evolving into experiential spirituality, and also studying other religions. My sort of biography going from there, and I think that could maybe inspire lots of readers to explore their own inner spirituality, like my latest book, which is a story. And I think my story might also be interesting for readers. So I'm working on it. It's a long-term project. I think it'll take, like my last book, 4 or 5 years at least. That's how much I spend on writing each book. I do much revision, rewriting. Rewriting is a big part of it, and my last book, Sages, Saints, and Sinners, it was a 4-year project.
Absolutely, 4-year project. So coming to the book itself, what do you want your readers? What key message, key insights you want your readers to take away from the book?
Look, the message in Sages, Saints, and Sinners is that despite almost insurmountable obstacles that our two protagonists face in this story, that love ultimately prevails. They eventually find each other without revealing too much of the story. They do find each other again, but their love is not confined to the two of them. They learn during this exceptional historical time of desperation and tragedy to be of service to others. So they eventually transmute that love that they have for each other to those around them.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's much to learn about all this, about your story, about your other books, and also the books that you are planning. There's so much to learn, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, want to get the best from you. What's the best way for them to do so?
Well, you'll find me on all the social media. I have a website, reinogevers.com. You can connect with me there. I have a weekly blog. I do regular podcasts, and I have a YouTube channel. So you just need to Google me, and you'll find me.
Absolutely, absolutely. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the Author's Voice with KJ. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Ajay. It was great to be with you.